that's going to go down on the sill. There'll be a foam underneath it here, but it's going to go over top of these screws, and then they're going to screw down and hold it to the concrete. So I need to, it's going to be difficult to kind of measure it and get it exactly, so I find the easiest way, it seems like, is to make an impression of it. So I'm going to kind of balance it here and then just hit it with a hammer onto these the screws. So now I'm just going to go through wherever there's a screw, just kind of give it an imprint on the back so that I can go through and then screw the hole. And I can flip it over and I can see right where it hit. I'm obviously going to do it a little bit bigger than the hole. It gives it a little play in it. Okay, so the bolt's 1/2 inch, and I got a 9/16 inch bit here, just to give a little bit of play. So I'm just going to use that marker. Some of these I'm not so happy because they're too close to the edge, but we'll just deal with what it is. Yeah, looks good. One other quick thing to remember is when you're, do this at the beginning, when you're getting the concrete poured, is to make sure you know where your studs are going to be, where the door is, and cripple studs or anything like that. And you have to get the nails in, or sorry, the screws in the correct place. So I knew ahead of time, this is the short side with a door. So you see it's going to be lined up just enough room that there's hardly any room here, because the end is going to go here. This is going to be the stud going up, and the jack stud, and just enough room here to fit the bolt and the screw. Make sure you screw enough for the screw and the washer. All right, so I got the sill plate lined up, and I'm going to have all the studs lined up here, and you see they've already pre-marked everything, which is nice. So you can just, this is 16 inches on center, as long as you get each one of the lines set up that way. And now here's the top plate, so you can nail all the studs in, get it square, put the sheathing on, the boards up there, and then I'm gonna have to tip it up so you can start nailing in all the studs here. Got 2 sets in there loaded. It doesn't matter as much for these, but this is pressure treated, so these are all galvanized nails. These are 16 penny. Keep going in. So. Notice I made one bit of silly mistake, and I put the foam on there. I should be nailing the sill plate in first, and then have the foam on the other side of the nails. So, easy to fix. Okay, so next thing you need to do is get everything nailed in. Just need to measure the corners to make sure it's square, to make sure it's not racked one direction. So when you put the sheathing on, it'll be square and it'll hold it in place. So let's see what it is here. Yeah, 175 and 5/8 3/4. 175 and 5/8. So I should square here. You can take a square, but it's just it doesn't give you a full picture of it. You can actually see that it's square here, but it still might be racked off a little bit. What we're going to do is get one of the plywood down just to keep it from moving, just to square it up, because I'm actually going to move it up there a little bit before it gets too heavy. It's already heavy, before you get all the sheathing on it, or all the plywood. Just kind of lay it up there and have it tilt so I could just tilt it up. Square, if you did it right, which looks like it did, the plywood will be sitting right on one of the 2x4s down the middle, so that the next one that comes up, it has that half of a stud as well to lay it down. One thing when I'm nailing it down here, you may get some instruction from Summerwood, but I have to double check here for the engineering doc for the permit I submitted, how they want them nailed down, just to make sure we have the right for the local inspection. So brace wall panel, 1/2 inch, we got that. Sheathing, 8-penny nails, got those. 4 inches on center, so that's going to be a lot on the edges. So every 4 inches up the edges, and then in the field, which means not along the edges, up the studs, it's going to be 12 inches on center. Or you can use staples. I'm going to use nails. And the ring shanks that they hold in a lot better, because that's what you need for sheathing. So I get the whole side nailed down there. I'm going to do one last double check, because it can still rack a little bit. I'll make sure nothing changed the square before I start going down and really block it in. This looks like it didn't move just a little bit, so again, I just square it up here. The distance was nice and square, so I'm going to go ahead and finish it off. So now, once you get that in and you nail it all in, it's going to be much harder for the wall to move. Okay, so I got it all, the 3 panels put in here, all nailed down. It's the pane. So now it's going to have to lift up and go vertical. So what I actually did, since it's just me lifting it, which is not a good idea, but anyways, that's what I have because nobody else is around. So I'm going to lift this wall up vertical, and I don't want it to tip too far over. So Summerwood provides a lot of extra pieces. I used a couple of the studs I haven't used yet, but a lot of 16 pieces, and I've just made kind of a jig support. I don't know what you call it. It's up against, so that when the wall goes up, it'll hit against there and it won't tip over, because that's the biggest problem, is you get all that weight going, you can't stop it from, have the correct leverage from that side. And so the idea here is that it's gonna, again, tilt over and up, and then I get the screws lined up with the holes, so it should have support from the bottom. So let's try this. Alright, so a little bit of nudging. Lesson learned, have your hammer with your clothes. You have to go reach for it. All right, the last piece here is to tie these down. I'm not gonna do them real tight right now, but just enough to start it off to give some support in case for some reason it tries to tip or wind or whatever else. I'm not gonna tighten it down again because I might need to shift this way or that way. I just want to kind of figure out. All right, so I'll do. Just gotta go through. There's all 4 of them. Okay, so got the door framed out. It's pretty much the same as the other one. If you can figure out how to do the wall, first wall, you can do this. Again, everything's marked on here if you can see it. For the jack studs, regular studs, everything's marked in there. So we just line it up. The only thing different is the door is going to come down. So we have the header across there. And sometimes I've seen the header down here and they cripple up. This is the same thing. It's just header up and you cripple down. So then you put in the cripple studs here, and then the top of the door is going to be right there. So it's just like the other, just a little bit of extra framing in the middle. The one issue I'm having now is it's not straight. So I'm measuring the diagonals and I'm kind of coming off by like a 1/4 inch. Probably isn't too bad, but just want to kind of work it. But I'm trying to, like I said, rack it from one side to the other. But I think since it's so small, I'm having trouble being able to kind of de-warp it, I want to say. So I'm going to try is putting on, or I've seen before, is lay the sheathing down, the plywood, just nail it down kind of at the bottom, and then use, kind of as a lever to be able to try to twist it before you do any of the vertical. Okay, so the technique here is to nail along here just enough to support it, but just along the bottom. And then if you move to the far corner, you can hold the plywood and then rack the studs underneath the framing, and then that way you can separate it. Again, kind of hold it like this, tap, move, and so yeah, you can hold one piece, that way you can manipulate both corners at the same time and then get it framed up and square. Pull back here so you can see, so there's actually going to be a 4-inch overhang here, so 3.5 for the stud plus the 1/2 inch sheathing, so there's going to be a 4-inch again, so that will wrap around and cover the end of the stud. This side is a 2x6 on this side, so it's 5.5 inches wide plus the 1/2 inch sheathing plywood, so 6 inches. So this is going to have a 6-inch overhang on this side, so it's going to go up, cover up, and then that's what locks in both sides. I had a productive first day. Got 3 of the walls up. Looks like they're all clad in the plywood. End up using almost every tool we have. The way it stands is this is the wall right here. The post will come up, and then the beam will go across to the wall. The front wall here has a built-up section with 4x6 that the beams will then sit across and line up there on both sides. And then there'll be this post right here, post up here, and then between them there'll be a beam. These very large beams I gotta work on. Had to lift these things because they're like 200-300 pounds each. They're 6x6. That one's 9. This one's 9 feet. The other one's 9 feet. That runs from here to there. And then the last one is almost 12 feet, or I guess it will be just about 12 feet. And then here's the brackets they sit on. As I noticed, one mistake I made was I let the sheathing, the 1/2 inch plywood overhang, because I needed a 3/4 inch overhang. But what I was supposed to do is actually put it midway to the 2x4, the sill plate there, and then use this 1.5 inch wide, 1/2 inch pressure treated plywood at the bottom that goes from 3/4 inch here, then does a 3/4 inch overhang. I was wondering, because I thought that this is exterior grade plywood, but what we needed was pressure treated since it was touching the concrete. So I had to mark a 1.5 inch all the way around at the bottom here, and I'm taking it off, or cut that off, and then I'm going to be replacing it